Hey guys, this is P.M.R.Bonez88, and for the last couple of days I've been sick. I caught a cold, and and Tuesday, which I was even more worse, I also had a fever, and cold was like spreading around. So I'm better. Well, I'm a little better. So out of like 100, I'm like 78 out of 100% better. So I'm good. So anyways, after for my last 4 reviews, which was all 4 of the Psycho movies, which of course was known as Psycho Week, today I will be talking about is the 1974 slasher movie, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was directed by Toe Popper and was inspired of a true story. This movie is now a new next level to the horror slasher, because now it's horrifying and gory and much more insanity. So this movie actually takes place in Texas, and it's about like a group of teens that goes on a road trip, just for a little road trip for themselves in the summer, and until they picked up some sort of a hitchhiker. They think he's friendly, but he's much more delirious and demental. Well, mentally. So that's the first rule you should never do. Never go and pull over and pick up a hitchhiker, because you might never know. They might just like do something crazy. They might be a killer or want to go out for a joyride. So that was their first mistake. So anyways, when they picked up this hitchhiker is like much more crazy and has a little blood on his face. He talks to them and then starts taking pictures of them, and all of a sudden he uses his own knife and cuts himself, like cuts his palm of his hand. It's like, this dude's like crazy. Like, why would you go ahead and cut yourself? That's like insanity. And then all of a sudden he actually starts like cutting the person that's really close, the guy on the wheelchair. I think his name is Franklin. That's Sally's brother. So they just like kick him out of the car and they start driving, and this hitchhiker all of a sudden just starts kicking and starts making all these weird faces and spits at them and puts blood on the van as well. So after they did that, they get all stranded. They are low out of gas, so they decided to go get some help. Right until they ran to this old house, but of course it's not abandoned, and plus there's like a lot of skeletons and bones, bloods. There's like everywhere, even some dead animals there. And up until, guess who's there? It's Leatherface. So Leatherface like hits this one guy with the hammer. He's not really dead. He's probably unconscious just for now. But so this character, this killer Leatherface, he's much more of this mentally chainsaw massacre challenge killer who wears like all these human flesh masks. He makes them out from human face. So what he does, he actually like carves all the human's face, and just like when he takes them off, he like sews them and makes them his own face. That's why they call him Leatherface. His real name is actually Junior. He's not like a full-time evil killer. He's much more of a demented and confusing kind of killer, but he does have his own ways. So if those of you know Leatherface so much, or if none of you don't know, well, there's a little detail of Leatherface as well of the whole movie. So I'm not like gonna talk to you guys about, I'm not gonna tell the whole story plot of this whole movie. If those of you know about it very much or have seen it so many times, or those of you didn't, I'll just like do a little brief plot of it. So one by one, all the teens like get killed and slaughtered by Leatherface, and almost to that very ending, Sally is the only survivor who actually gets chased by Leatherface, but then later on she gets captured. And they take her to her. He takes her to her house which she messed up with the hitchhiker again, and this other person named Tom Sawyer. Tom Sawyer is also known as the cook, and he's also most of the stabilized and normal person, unlike the other two. So up in that dinner scene, they like torment her and laugh and tease her a lot, and along with that, they bring their grandpa, who's like dying, all decomposing, I should say, more like decomposing. And what they do, they give him his like blood to like keep him alive, but they like play around with her, and and I like the way in the scene where they use their grandpa to like give them the hammer, and they say, "Him, grandpa, him, grandpa." That was like one of the funniest scenes ever, but most horrifying and gory ever. So almost up to that very ending, Sally escapes and gets away from the Sawyer families, along with Leatherface now chasing her, and also the hitchhiker as well. So the ones who actually comes out of the house first is the hitchhiker, and then comes Leatherface with his chainsaw. So almost up to that very ending, Sawyer family gets killed is the hitchhiker gets run over by a truck, and up to that very ending where the truck driver comes out of his truck and brings his hammer, or actually it was a monkey wrench, and like throws it at Leatherface right in the head, and the chainsaw like almost like cuts him right to the leg, like almost deep, just a bit. And then later on, Sally like finds a ride for herself, and then the truck driver just keeps on running without stopping, and Leatherface just goes after Sally, and then up to that very ending, Sally finally gets away with Leatherface, and Leatherface goes all nuts with the chainsaw, like he goes all nuts and simply pissed off. So after talking about this movie is like really horrifying and much more gory, and it does talk about all these events that's happened. This movie, when I say it was inspired by a true story, it was actually inspired by this true killer named Ed Gein. Ed Gein, he did all these weird killing ways, all these blood and gory, and this is what it all represents about Ed Gein. And I heard they made a lot of sequels to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but the first one was great. I like it. This was actually one of my favorites, and it was actually the very, very first time when I heard they made the original. Actually, the first time when I saw the original is when I was like 17 or 18. It was around between 17 or 18 when I first saw the very first Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I saw it on TV, so this was actually a great movie, and I got it on DVD, and those of you who have it, that's great, and those of you who didn't, I recommend you guys to go and see it. And the next horror slasher movie review that I will be talking about is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. So this is P.M.R.Bonez88's signing off, and saying is, peace.